All right. Hello and welcome. Today we're talking about the full moon in Leo, which is February 5th. It's happening at 16 degrees of Leo. So we're going to talk a little bit about the bigger cycles that we're in and how this full moon really highlights a lot of different transits that have been happening and that are going to continue to happen throughout 2023. Back in November, we had a really big eclipse in Taurus, and that was at the 16th degree. The 16th degree is represented by the Tower card in Tarot. And so when we look at this, we've had since that total lunar eclipse back in November. So you might want to look back to like what was getting stirred up for you, what sudden shifts and changes were occurring for you, where you were getting aha moments, where things were coming through. So look back in your journaling. And this is why I love having the Planetary Planner, because with each new and full moon, you can journal with those and then you can look back at that, because every new and full moon and any other transit really that we're having has a relationship. All the planets have a relationship to each other, and this correlates with our own relationship with ourselves and different aspects to ourselves, different archetypes within ourselves. So look back to November 8th. That was it was a total lunar eclipse in Taurus, and that is going to show you where things have started getting shaken up for you and where it's continuing to happen, because ever since then, we've had every full moon be at the 16th degree of the sign. So we went from Taurus, 16th degree, into December having Gemini, 16 degree full moon. January, the 16th degree Cancer full moon. February, now we're at the Leo full moon. And why this is important is because we've made it back to a fixed sign. So in many ways, this full moon squares in relationship that total lunar eclipse. Why is that important? It signifies the midway point of the eclipses. And if we're looking at the eclipse cycles as 6-month cycles, where I always talk about like the shit gets stirred up and then it's like this big flush of energy to clear it out. If we look at that, we're going to get indicators of what's getting illuminated for you that is being asked to shake up and shift out of old cycles, old patterns. Now, this is especially true because this full moon in particular highlights Chiron, the wounded healer, highlights Mars and the journey that we've been on with Mars retrograde. So that total lunar eclipse was with Mars retrograde back on November 8th. So this is all part of a bigger plan of opening us and really clearing out the old baggage so that we can really come into new and fresh. Now, with this full moon on February 5th, it creates a T-square in the sky. So we have the sun in Aquarius, we have the moon in Leo, and then we have Uranus at 15 degrees. So 1 degree off of this full moon. So the full moon's at 16 degrees. So look at any of your fixed placements. So the fixed placements are Leo, Taurus, Scorpio, and Aquarius, because that point, wherever the midpoint is of those signs is in your chart, is going to be highlighted in some way. So Uranus is the sudden shift maker. He's like the sudden aha, ideas coming in, new ways of doing things coming in, ways of thinking outside the box, or sudden downloads or information coming in. This can also be people coming into your life, people going out of your life. It's a very sudden energy, sudden shifts, things that can't be predicted. So it's always amusing to see, like, if people are trying to predict Uranian energy, it just can't be predicted. So therefore, what can we do? We can prepare ourselves by getting in the mode of surrender, by getting in the mode of acceptance, by getting in the mode of everything is for my highest good, and really, truly starting to notice and recognize in the past the way things have worked out for you, even hard things, even uncomfortable things, even loss and grief, and how it's in some way prepared you to be exactly where you are right now. Look back to 2018 and where you were. That was when Uranus shifted into Taurus. And I will post in my story that video because it's very helpful, because it talks about Uranus and Taurus, this bigger cycle that we're in, and we will continue to be in until Uranus shifts into Gemini, which is going to be something else when we see that happen. But for now, it's in Taurus, and that really has to do with our most basic security, sense of comfort, sense of the creature comforts, those kinds of things, and things being uncomfortable in that area, things being shaken up in that area. And so with this T-square on this full moon, we want to lean into Scorpio energy. And what is Scorpio energy? Scorpio energy is about the magician energy. It is about transmutation. It is about alchemy. It is about going into our pain to alchemize that into our pleasure again. And one of the things that I often see with clients is that we try to avoid talking about certain things or going into the pain of certain things, but that's where the suffering is. The suffering is in the avoidance, and the suffering is in the like kind of skimming over it and trying to keep going and trying to keep going and trying to keep going and not looking at and not feeling into the pain. It's actually when we are able to be witnessed in whatever way, even if it's by ourselves, but working with clients is like when we're able to be witnessed in our pain and someone's holding that sacred space for us. It's very bizarre, but when we go into that pain, it's often a relief. Like I think about this in a yoga class too. When we're in a certain position or asana and it's uncomfortable, but we let ourselves kind of stay with it, oftentimes we'll get this rush of endorphins, we'll get this rush of oxytocin through our body. And the same is true with going into those painful places in your life. It's through the avoidance that suffering lives. And when we can actually be with our pain and alchemize it, that's when things can shift for the highest good. And this is what this full moon is about. So we have Chiron creating this relationship in Aries to a sextile to the sun. And then we also have Mars creating a sextile to the moon. And so we have this really interesting energy of our bodies, Mars, and our drive being focused on the places where Chiron has showed us our wounds, where Chiron has shown us where we still question God, we still question universe, we still question highest good, we still question our higher self, we still question if things are going to work out for us. And that is normal and natural and a part of being human. But this full moon tests us to see if we can just lean in a little bit more, if we can just lean into our magic a tad more, if we can just be with the mystery, if we can let it unfold and trust and know that things are going to work out for us. And this is very Uranian, because Uranus energy is not a comfortable energy, and it really is sudden and it really is unexpected. But it can be unexpected in a beautiful way. Things can all of a sudden manifest. People can come up into your life. Certain situations or blessings can come in. So the more that you're living from that place of trusting that and believing in that, the more that that's going to be shown to you, right? Now, this isn't without escaping the natural lessons that we have in life. And some lessons are not easy. And so it's not all just about manifesting magic and miracles into our life. That is certainly a part of it and a big part of our lives. And then there's also being with the uncomfortable parts, the pain and the alchemizing of that, because things will manifest into your life as a way to help you move into your dharma and move into the lessons that you're supposed to alchemize while you're here. And that's not always easy. So it's really important to not only be gentle with yourself during this time, but really look at your own Chiron placement in your charts and start to understand and know where you go into worst case scenario. Wherever Chiron is in your chart, you typically go to worst case scenario. And this is typically, sometimes it can be a past life thing, but a lot of times it is from childhood conditioning, from teachers in your life, from parents in your life, putting something on you that wasn't yours to carry, but for somehow you carried it, you know? And so this Chiron placement is really important to understand that and to really feel into the healing potential there. And Chiron, the part where Chiron is in your chart, where you struggle, where you question God, is often the place where people will see you as someone that can help them. So that sounds confusing, but Chiron is the wounded healer. He has healing potential to share with the world. And we wouldn't have compassion for others. We wouldn't have capacity to hold space for others if we didn't have our own wounding, if we didn't have our own place where the light got in, our own cracks in our structure or foundation, right? So remember this when you're dealing with Chiron, because it's a gift. It is a gift. And none of us that are human at this time are perfect. None of us are without a Chiron placement. So that being said, this full moon in Leo is about play. Leo energy is about play and having leisure, having fun. But it's important to not use those things as a way to escape from the daily work, from the mundane. And how can you incorporate that magic and that play into the mundane, into the things that need to get done, into doing your dishes, into making, a sale, into, moving around in the world? How can you infuse that play and that magic into your life? And this full moon will have you reintroducing yourself to that. And it might be by something coming in that is changing things. So whenever we have a T-square in the sky with the full moon, it's going to be very energetic. And with Uranus, typically we'll see something in the outer world. So they're definitely, because we're coming into an election here too, I think, we're definitely going to see more chaos in the external world, because that is how the powers that be stay in power, right? And so it's important to keep your own center strong and keep your own mental state well and nourished and not getting into overthinking, because as we see Saturn moving into Pisces in March, and before that we have Saturn in those last degrees of Aquarius, it can be about extremism, especially when we move into Pisces. But in these last few degrees of Aquarius too, fixed thinking can be really a problem. And so extremism on all sides and ways and places. And so extremism in religious aspects, extremism in political aspects, extremism in the social networking and social world. And it's important for you to stay grounded in your knowing and your truth at this time, because it can shake you up and it can turn you around. And so coming back to mental clarity, however you gain that, immersing yourself in nature is a great way, making sure that you're taking care of your body and feeding it the foods that it needs, meditation, anything that helps you. I love cold showers. Those kinds of things can be really helpful for overthinking. It really just forces you to come present, right? So keep that in mind as we move closer to this full moon, because we have been on this journey with Mars retrograde. Now Mars is direct, but it's still in Gemini, and it's still stirring the pot of lots of things around our information and overthinking and overanalyzing things. And because it's involved in this full moon, even though it's a beautiful sextile to the moon, it can show you where you've been stagnant and moving forward in a certain direction because you've been overthinking it, or you've been thinking it's going to look different than how it actually looks, right? And sometimes we just have to, I always tell clients this, like, we move and then we make new decisions. We don't wait to make decisions. We don't wait to move. If we're waiting for something or circumstances to be different or things to look different for us to move, we're never going to move. So we move and then we make a different decision and then we move with that. And this is how, right? Like, we're moving on a big rock in space right now. We're turning and we're being propelled forward. And so we have to move with that. And so even if that movement is just your breath, even if that movement is your walk in a day, even if that movement is rocking and humming and like chanting, whatever it is, move your body, move the thoughts in your brain, journal, do the things that you know are going to bring you to a place where you can make the next move. We're not going to see the whole scope. We're going to take one step and then reassess and decide if we're going to step forward or we're going to step a little bit to the right or a little bit to the left. But we have to keep taking those steps forward. And sometimes we're going to have to step back, and that's okay too. But we don't want to get in the stagnation of not moving. And that's often where we see a lot of people getting to where they're overwhelmed. There's too much online. There's too much overthinking. And that will cause us to feel like it's impossible to move. But just like if you're hiking, if you've ever heard this, when you're hiking, sure, you can take breaks. But if you're getting really fatigued and really tired, it's better to take smaller steps and keep moving than it is to stop. This is especially true if you're going uphill. So we want to remember this as this full moon comes and as we're coming into this more intense astrology. And the astrology is just a way of reading the energy. So it's not like it's anything outside of you. It's just a way of feeling into the pulse of the energy of what's already there. And that's why getting a full chart reading with me and doing an astrological embodiment session is so powerful, because it's not anything that you don't already somewhat know somewhere in your sphere. It's that it's affirming for you what you already feel, and it's showing you in a clearer sense the archetypal lessons that are coming through those things that you might already notice and feel. And it affirms your talents, your gifts, your work in this world. And there's nothing more valuable than that. So right now, for the next week, so until February, no, I don't want to say, I think it's just till Friday, sorry. It's just till this Friday, I have a flash sale on full astrological embodiment sessions. They are 2-hour deep dives with me. We do the full astrological chart, and then we move into the embodiment work and any things that are keeping you from being fully embodied in this moment, in this life. And it is very powerful. So the promo code for that is IMBULK, because we are now moving into that energy. And this full moon is like the fire of that energy. The Leo full moon always comes close to around this time of IMBULK, and it's also St. Bridget Day. And so it's that midwinter, the light is getting a little bit stronger, thankfully, and we're coming into this midwinter, coming out of the deep darkness and coming back slowly towards the light. And with that, so yeah, I have the IMBULK special. I will post that in the comments here, or it's also in my story if you're interested in that. I also have Crown Codes, the business alignment group coaching experience. It includes the Crown Codes course. It's a self-paced course, and 6 weeks of group coaching experience together. And that starts February 16th. The last day to register and get the bonus one-on-one business coaching call with me is today. So if you feel inspired or called to that, check the link in my profile. I have more information about that journey together. It starts February 16th. It's a way to take all of this energy that you've been through in this last year, these last few years, and harness it, alchemize it into your mission-driven business. And whatever your business is, really getting the energy behind it a lot more by coming into your crown, coming into your knowing, and clearing out any of the programs or beliefs. And we have so many different ways that we do this together. It's a really magical experience to get you really clear and aligned with what you're here to offer and how to share about that and sell that in a really beautiful, aligned way. So that registration will be open until February 14th, but if you want to get the bonus one-on-one coaching call with me, today's the last day to get that, and that's only for pay in full. So the link's in my profile. Any questions you have, you can send them my way. I hope you have a beautiful full moon. This is a very powerful one. Again, because it's a fixed energy and it's the fixed fire, you really want to look back to that November 8th time period and what was coming in strong for you, and really see how you're coming to the other side of that now and gaining some wisdom and understanding so that you can move forward. So look to any of the fixed signs mid-degree, so 16 degrees, but anywhere between, 12 to 20 degrees of the fixed signs. And if you have any planets or placements there, when I post this, let me know in the chat below and we can chat about it, what planets or placements you have there. But specifically, you want to, yeah, I said that right. You want to look to especially Leo placements or Aquarius placements. Okay, have a wonderful day. Take good care. Bye.